Hi, I used to be a notorious Calathea killer, just like you. But now, these girlies are a walk in the park for me. Look at the material. 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 And that's not all. I still have a couple of them littered around the ground. I've kept most of these Calatheas alive for at least 2 years. 2 years, babes. And I want to tell you things that I did that completely changed the game for my Calatheas and made me realize that these guys are actually not as difficult as the internet claims them to be. They are just misunderstood and misconstrued, and I dare say even mismarketed. So sit down, get your pen and paper. This video will completely change how you view Calatheas and let you know how to properly take care of them. First thing I need you to do, babes, I need you to start having a change of mindset about Calatheas. These guys have earned an overinflated reputation of being difficult and being finicky. So for some people, they already have the mindset that this is a difficult plant even before they buy the plant. When you go into something and you have a preconceived notion that it's going to be challenging, babes, it's not rocket science. It then becomes challenging. That's how the mind manifests these things. Stop seeing them as difficult. In fact, some are as tough as nails. And let me blow your mind. I have one particular Calathea here that continues to defy everything that you've probably heard about Calatheas. This is a Calathea here, freaking growing in the same pot as a snake plant.
What?
And absolutely flourishing. It just magically popped up on my snake plant and sis is taking over. Can I blow your mind? I grow this in full sun. Sometimes I even forget to water it. I don't exactly know what Calathea this is, but this one is as tough as nails. And what I've come to realize is that a lot of these Calatheas are actually extremely resilient and extremely tough. So please don't approach them with the mindset that, oh my god, this is a difficult plant or a finicky plant. That mindset sets you up for failure already. Change the mindset. That's the first thing we're gonna do, okay? Change our mindset. All right, now let's move on to the next point. I'm gonna show you what I mean in this point, so you won't say that I'm just making things up or I'm just lying. Let me show you firsthand. Look at this Calathea. Look at how she's flourishing, right? She's about to produce, you know, some flower spike. She's very happy. But can I blow your mind? Look at the soil she's growing in. Have a good look at the soil, babe. Let me bring it out so you can have a better look. Look at this. Look at it. So red, so dense. Oh, so tough as nails.
What?
That is the type of soil she's growing in. And she's absolutely flourishing. She's happy as can be. I've never had an issue with this, which leads me to the one thing that was an epic game changer for me. I quickly realized that these guys actually prefer to grow in actual soil from the earth, non-amended. They just want that soil from the earth. And every single one of my Calatheas, every single one that is flourishing, I don't grow it in any amended soil. Just your regular schmegular soil from the earth. And I often always wondered why, because before I would grow them in my porous, very chunky mix, if I do say so myself, and they were just miserable. Which is why I keep saying, guys, not every plant needs to be in a chunky mix. Some plants don't want that. Some plants don't want a mix that is too porous, and that could be why your Calatheas are struggling. They like this soil from the earth because it is extremely moisture retentive. These guys are moisture loving plant. Every single Calathea, they love moisture and they love to be kept moist. But some of you all keep them in this very porous chunky mix that can barely retain as much water for a long time. So when it comes to these guys, look, you don't need fancy soil. You do not need fancy chunky soil for your Calatheas. Instead, focus on moisture retention. I'm not saying you should go and get soil from the earth, though. No, I'm not saying saying that may not work for you growing yours indoors in your basement apartment, certainly, but I'm saying get something that can retain moisture for these guys. And sometimes all you need is just your regular potting mix, that contains cocoa coir and perlite. That's all you need. I have one Calathea that is growing entirely in cocoa coir and living her best life entirely in cocoa coir. You know, cocoa coir is quite moisture retaining, so that should be your focus. Another major game changing thing is where you place and position your Calatheas. The problem with some of you is that you assume that these plants are just standalone plants. You buy them and then you just place them by themselves, you know, on your cute decorative shelf or your plant shelf, just by themselves. No, babes. These are not plants that like to be positioned alone or by themselves. They are not solitary girlies. They like to be grouped with other plants. They like to be, listen to me, they like to be grouped with other plants. That was like a massive game changer for me. I noticed that when I just kept my Calatheas just by themselves, you know, I didn't pair them with other plants, they were not happy. But the moment I started to group them all together, and you see in my veranda, they are all grouped together. They love that. That is actually how they grow in nature. These guys, for the most part, are ground cover plants, so they grow huddled together. They are not, you know, they don't stay, they are not independent. They need other girlies to support them. So they grow together. So stop separating your Calatheas. These girlies have serious separation anxiety. When they are huddled together as one loving family with your other plants, it increases the humidity around them. It mimics their natural habitat, and they're very happy. They feel at home. They love it. So please start pairing these babes together if you want to have this beautiful, happy Calathea. Stop separating them. All right. Another thing is that you should position them where you can conveniently water. Don't position your Calatheas high up in the sky where watering them will not be a challenge for you. Position them where you can easily water them with your watering can, or which in my case is my hose. So I have them all positioned on the ground on my veranda where I can just easily access my hose and just spray and water them. And that's because these girlies, like I said, they don't like to be, you know, kept dry. One thing I realized for plants like this that like to be perpetually moist, is always best that you grow them where you can easily water them, right? That has just been the hack for a lot of these type of plants. So don't position them far away from your watering can, or position them in a room where you barely go to. No, where you can have quick access to your watering cans or your hose or whatever you used to water these girlies. All right, which leads me to my next point. I want you to start seeing some of these girlies as perennials, okay? Because they actually are. Like, people need to say this more often. Not all Calatheas, but some Calatheas are actually perennials. Don't beat yourself if you start to see these Calatheas misbehaving. It's fine. They could just be actually going dormant, and that's fine, but they will come back. They will come back stronger when weather conditions are better. Don't dispose of them. One thing I realized is that their roots are very tough. So the Calathea may lose all its leaves, but babes, it's still very much alive in the roots. So as long as you maintain favorable conditions for your Calatheas indoors, regardless of the season it may be outdoors, then even the ones that tend to be perennials, you know, they could stay in your care for as long as those conditions are favorable. All right. But if you start to see that these conditions are beginning to change in your home, perhaps your humidity is lower, you know, don't be surprised if some of these Calatheas begin to just start to go dormant or decline. Don't throw them away. Like I said, they will be back. All right, they will be back. And also, don't beat yourself up. And don't then brand them as finicky. It is just their nature. Some of them, it is just their nature to go dormant when conditions begin to become less favorable. All right, all right. And now, babes, if you keep seeing spider mites on your Calathea, then you're probably doing one of these two things. You're exposing your Calathea to way too much light than it wants. One thing I've come to realize with Calatheas and spider mites is once they are stressed, they just trigger like spider mites to come. Like spider mites come and finish me off since my caretaker doesn't care about me anymore. That's what I think, they have that relationship with spider mites. And one thing that stresses some Calatheas is overexposure to light or direct sun. And I have a perfect example. This babes here, by the way, can I blow your mind? This used to be a Calathea white fusion. She used to be Calathea white fusion, but the challenge we have growing our Calathea's white fusion outdoors in this very sunny country is that they tend to revert to all green because of the overexposure of light. And sis is clearly, you can clearly see where she is. Like, look at sun-faded leaves. By the way, she was munched by grasshoppers. Honestly, this babe has been through a lot, but I want to point that she is now covered with spider mites. And I'm not even surprised, because like I said, when these guys are exposed to too much light, spider mites become their friends. Now, some of them are really phototrophic, right? So when they're exposed to too much light, you will notice that they're either just shooting upwards, or their leaves will just spike upwards. If you observe this during the day, then that's your cue that, oh my God, this baby is saying, oh my God, you're giving me too much light, I don't like it. While others will curl and fold their leaves when they're exposed to too much light. The leaves will just fold up when they're exposed to too much light. And that's your sign that you have to reduce the amount of light that you're giving these guys. So some of them like bright light, but for some I've noticed they do not. They like to be in deep shade. Just observe how they react. If you're seeing the spider mites, you know, and if you're seeing some of them shoot up their leaves or fold up their leaves, that's your cue that, okay, I need to move the light back. I need to move the light back, okay? So that's one thing to note. Another reason why your Calathea keeps having spider mites is because you're leaving to stay dry for too long. That's one thing I've realized. If these girls are stressed, they're always thirsty, or they're overexposed to light, the spider mites will come. So if you keep seeing spider mite infestations in your plant, ask yourself, is this plant being overexposed to light, or am I leaving to stay dry for too long? The mistake some of you make is that you will wait until the leaves of your Calathea start folding before you water your plants, because for these girlies, when they are thirsty, their leaves will fold. You're going to end up with a Calathea that looks like a hot mess. Please don't do that. You're just going to attract the spider mites, because you're constantly subjecting that plant to drought that it doesn't like, and you're also going to end up with a plant that has lots of crispy tips. So keep your plant regularly hydrated, and you know, and you will not encounter these spider mite issues. All right, come closer to me. I need to ask you this. Why are you growing your Calatheas in terracotta pots and coming out to complain that your Calatheas are dramatic? Please, don't you ever grow these plants in terracotta pots, babes. These are plants that love to stay moist. I've talked about how terracotta pots are not for every plant or for everyone or every environment. Due to their porous nature, they dry out so fast, so it doesn't make sense for you to grow a plant that loves to stay moist in a terracotta pot. The other day I was on Trends and I saw someone coming to lament that Calatheas are looking terrible, and of course she was growing them in terracotta pots, and I was like, madam, I mean, what did you expect? So please do not grow these guys in terracotta pots. Please. Now you might have seen this one and be like, wait, but is this not growing in a terracotta pot with the snake plant? Well, actually, no. There's an inner nursery pot inside your terracotta pot. So if you like the look of your terracotta, you want to pair it with these moisture-loving girlies, get an inner nursery pot and put it inside that terracotta pot, but never plant these guys directly in a terracotta pot. Like, just don't do that, babes. All right? I live in a country that is always humid all year round for the most part, so sometimes I tend to forget that humidity may actually be a factor for some of you girlies. But in this day and age where humidifiers exist, humidifiers are just an Amazon click away. That should not be an excuse. These guys actually love high humidity, but at the same time, you don't need to have crazy high humidity. If you can keep your humidity over 50%, 60%, these babes will be fine. So just put them next to a humidifier. Get a humidifier, bam, and place it next to your Calathea, and it should be fine. Or like I said, if you huddle them and position them together, you're less likely to encounter these humidity issues, because when plants are huddled together, it increases the ambient humidity around them. So don't let humidity be a factor. There are ways to go about it in this day and age. All right, when all of that is said and done, you're still going to encounter your crispy tips from time to time in this plant, and that's fine. That's how, even in nature, even in conservatories, if you're someone who's very particular about aesthetics and you want perfect looking plants, then your Calatheas are not for you. All right. And lastly, if these Calathea girls are still giving you a hard time despite everything you've heard about in this video, despite everything you've done, try their cousins, the Nantes. Oh my god, the Nantes. So this is not a Calathea, but she's actually a Thinanti, and all Thinantis in my experience tend to be a bit more, beginner friendly, a bit more drought tolerant. If these guys are still giving you, if your Calatheas are still giving you a tough time, don't throw every plant in the prayer family away. Get yourself a Thinanti. Any Thinanti will do. The same with Maranthus as well, although ironically I've had more success with my Calatheas than I have with my Marantha. Anyways, babes, I hope this video truly becomes a game changer for Calatheas in your life and your collection, because they are very beautiful. Look at the material, and they're indoor friendly and also pet friendly. Go out there and get yourself one, and remember, don't be afraid of them. Go out there, get yourself one, and just apply some of the measures I have stated in this video, and I strongly believe that your Calatheas will stop giving you issues and problems. They're just little misunderstood beauties. All right. Anyways, hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and share, and I'm gonna see you in the next one.